Hello, and welcome to a brief introduction of human resource management. When we say human as a resource, it means that it comprises the aggregate of employee attributes, which might include the knowledge of the employees, the aggregate skills of the employees, the aggregate of experiences that each employee has, and their, the state of health, both the physical health and the mental health, which are not only presently present or available to the organization, but also what is available potentially in the future for the achievement of the organizational goals. That itself, we call it as a human resource. Resource in itself means that it is something valuable and it helps us to attain something of even higher value. And in this case, it is the achievement of the organizational goals that uh, is facilitated by one of the most important resources that the organization can have, and that is the human resource. Now, in terms of human resource, there is an orthodox view as well as what we call as the HR view or the modern view of human resource. The orthodox view views employees as workers, whereas the modern view or the human resource view views employees as ever appreciating assets. Now, there is a difference when we look at them as workers, because when we look at them as workers, we are pretty much treating them as expendable, which means we can pretty much exploit them the way we want, and we know that we assume that if they are exhausted, we can always find more workers to replace the existing workers. However, when we look at them as ever appreciating assets, we are looking at in developing them, at training them, and at in terms of growing their knowledge, growing their skills, growing and growing in terms of their experience. And that means that our human resource becomes richer and more valuable as the years pass by. And hence, in the HR view, we look at more of towards investing in the human resource and developing them, contrast to the orthodox view where we are looking at more in terms of extracting as much as work that we can and exploiting them to the fullest. The orthodox view also looks at, as I said before, employees are like loose currencies which are like expendable. So we know that if we run out of these workers, we can always find more workers to replace them. Uh, and hence, work employees are looked at more as a head count. In the human resource view, though, we don't treat them as expendables. We treat employees as as the most valuable resource. Uh, in the orthodox view, our target, our goal, or our objective is fulfillment of organizational goals. Whereas in the modern view, we look at not only fulfillment of the organizational goals, but also fulfillment of the individual goals of the employee, and hence we call them as superordinate goals, goals that are composite of the organizational goals as well as the individual development goals of the employee. Now, why this shift happened from orthodox view to HR view? When we were look, this shift happened primarily because we shifted more from a kind of uh, kind of a work-based economy to a more knowledge-based economy. And as we progress through even advancing from knowledge-based economy to uh, technology-based economy, an economy which is now facilitated by artificial intelligence, uh, the modern view becomes even more imperative because it's the skill, the kind of capacity or capability of the employees that organizations find it most difficult to replace these days. Similarly, the concept of personal management, which was prevalent earlier, is contrasted with the modern view of human resource management. So personal management was looked at something which was like a back office job, as in like an admin function, as a routine maintenance function, um, which kind of takes care of the payroll, the attendance. Uh, it kind of uh, is more of a reactive function. So in other words, at the end of the month, we need to have a payroll. That's why we prepare a payroll. We need to, or we every day we need to pay wages to the daily wage workers, and that's why we prepare a wage roll. Um, Similarly, we maintain the attendance because we want to pay them by the hour. So it's more of a reactive function because as and when the requirement is there, we do something so that we can uh, maintain the workforce that we have. The personal management hence looks at salary and economic rewards and job simplification as the motivators, which means it assumes that if we pay people well and if we give them economic rewards and simplify their job, they will be motivated. And it also considers uh, that if people are then satisfied and they have high morale, it will also lead to improvement of performance. Now, there's nothing fundamentally wrong with personal management. It kind of survived many years. But what the problem why personal management became problematic, because it was more in terms of maintaining a workforce, and hence when we transitioned into a knowledge based economy where the talent became the central point, uh, this maintenance function was not enough. HR needed to be more strategic in nature, more tactical in nature, and that was not within the premise of personal management. And hence, there was a need for evolution, and that evolution happened and is still happening in many ways of the modern view of human resource management, which kind of looks at it's like a continuous development function of HR. It's a proactive function, so it's not like a reactive function. So when we are looking at tactical aspects of HR, how or strategic aspects of HR, or how HR can become a tool for organizations to achieve their business strategy, to fulfill their business strategy, then it becomes the concern of all managers in the organization. It kind of needs that we look at job design, we kind of create a challenge in the job, we bring creativity and challenge in the job as motivators. We look beyond just monetary rewards and salary. Of course, they are important, but they are not the central point of how we get people motivated, or what actually helps in improving their performance or improving their satisfaction from the work. So this transition and this evolution is has not only happened, but it's still happening in many ways. And the human resource management function is continues to grow as we move into a AI based economy where we the concept of employees in itself is changing, where we don't only look at the captive set of people that we have whom we call employees, but all the people in potentially who can work for us, not necessarily as captive set of employees, but maybe as leased workers, or as workers who do contract workers, or as workers who do a part of the work, as a as a form of crowdsourcing, like we crowdsource the workers rather than just recruiting more workers. In terms of objectives of human resource management, there are kind of four primary objectives. The first objective is the personal objective, which is in terms of assisting the employees in achieving their personal goals. The second is in more in terms of the functional objective, which is optimizing the resource utilization. The organizational objectives in terms of that the HR objective should help in the fulfillment and meeting of the organizational objectives. And finally, of course, the societal objectives, that how HR can help organizations to become more ethically and socially responsible. So these are the four primary objectives that human resource management has. Um, Similarly, in terms of activities, it has various activities. Human resource management has a planning role, which means in terms of planning manpower, uh, and in terms of determining not only the headcount but also the kind of skills that we need, the kind of talent that we require, the kind of knowledge that workers should have, and how do we also involve them, where do we place them. So all this planning role is in the purview of human resource management. The next is the HRM performing role, which is more in terms of hiring people, um, uh, doing the induction for them, administering salary, appraising their performance. So these are all in terms of eliciting performance from the workers, from the employees. It also has a developing role, which means in terms of conducting trainings and in ensuring that there is continuous development of knowledge, skills, and competencies of the employees. Um, and as these competencies grow, so the competencies of the organization grows as well, and the organization becomes more competitive. And in other words, when it becomes more competitive, it becomes better and it gains an advantage over the competitors, and that's exactly what we call as competitive advantage. HRM also has a process role in terms of kind of creating a conducive atmosphere, creating a positive work culture, creating a sense of trust among the employees uh, about the organization, between the employees and the leaders. That kind of trust and is something which HR helps in creating that. HRM also has a change agent role in terms of perceiving the need for change, and also becoming an agent of change in terms of helping people cope up with the change, preparing people to deal with the change, and also creating or influencing their mindset so that they accept the change. HRM also has an enabling role, which is basically in terms of how HR can empower employees and create a sense of ownership amongst employees, that they feel a sense of belongingness um, um, to the organization. Uh, so if we have to kind of have an evolved form of HR, if we have to have meet the kind of objectives that we talked about of human resource management, and if we have to carry out all the different roles that we talked about of human resource management, then what kind of human resource managers would we require? What qualities should they have? This is a kind of a, as kind of a like a laundry list, you can call it, but then this is not just for the sake of writing, because all these qualities, of course, maybe many of you may argue that, of course, shouldn't all managers have these qualities? Yes, most of the managers should have these qualities, but then uh, when we look at a modern view of HR, there is, although there is somebody as an HR manager who manages the HR function, but if you look at the modern view of HR, then every manager is an HR manager, because every manager, what besides whatever they do, whether they are managing the accounts or they're managing the finance of the company, they're managing the production, they're managing sales, they're managing marketing, whatever they are doing, uh, they also are managing people, and they are definitely managing people, and hence all these qualities, whether it is fairness and firmness, tact and resourcefulness, sympathy, empathy, consideration, knowledge of the legal aspects of managing people, very important these days, broad social outlook, having an inclusive nature, big, having the DEI kind of outlook, the diversity, equity, and inclusiveness, competence and confidence, visionary, effective communicator, having decision making abilities, and being even tempered, um, having a strong character, not being selfishly driven towards achievement of certain self-centered kind of goals, which might be detrimental for the other people or for the organization, and of course being adequately academically qualified for the role. And hence the person, whoever is in charge of managing mm, and managing people in particular, has managerial functions in terms of planning for human resource, organizing uh, um, the tasks and the people, directing human resource wherever required in terms of providing them the necessary guidance and instructions, and also to an extent the controlling function, which is now in the modern era, controlling is not seen as something positive, and hence this controlling is more in terms of engaging um, rather than really having a kind of a tight leash or control over people. And of course the various operative functions, so whatever operations people are involved in, they so as I said, every manager is an HR manager. So if you are a production manager, you look at the production besides of course these managerial functions. If you are a finance manager, look at the managing the finance. You, so accordingly, I mean, whatever operative functions a manager might have in but if the manager is particularly an HR manager, the HR operations would be their operative functions, and HR operations could be in terms of job analysis, human resource planning, hiring, induction, training and development. All these are various operations of HR or operative functions of HR. uh, the performance management or career planning under compensation, there will be many various operations in terms of evaluating the job and determining the relative worth of every job so that they can be priced, and accordingly the wage and salary administration, incentive management, benefits management, social security and other benefits management. uh, Similarly, under the HR relation, there will be various operations like uh, safety and health management of the employees, employee transition in terms of whether they are promotions or transfers or demotions or exits. All these are need to be managed, and of course the labor relation, the relation between the labor and the management. And in terms of ensuring effectiveness of human resource management operations like uh, um, managing the health of the organization, conducting regular HR audits to improve the HR function as a whole, and of course a concept which has remained only a concept, has never become a practice, is something of an HR accounting or kind of preparing a balance sheet of people in terms of their skills and uh, skill sets and the kind of knowledge that they have, and hence determining the asset value of the HR human resource. As I said, the human resource, the evolved aspect of human resource means that HR will have to be involved in strategic decision making. And this is just an example when we are looking at how we connect the business strategic decisions to the decisions that we take within the purview of human resource management. For instance, if we are trying to add some new types of equipments, we will need to first plan for training of our employees so that they can be adequately skilled by the time those equipments are uh, installed in the company. Or if a company is trying to grow through mergers and acquisitions, which means it is trying to acquire new companies and it is trying to grow inorganically, uh, then we need to look at uh, how we are going to manage our hiring, because we might need to hire from the firms that we are acquiring. We might need to train them. We might need to adjust our compensation. We might also have redundant workers whom we might uh, be requirement to kind of manage their separation or manage their outplacements in terms of helping them find another job, which many companies have started to offer now. So these are just examples in terms of understanding that when we look at human resource management, it's just not the operative functions, or it's just not the managerial function. It's also the in terms of understanding that the strategic functions. And hence, when we call strategic function, we are looking at every decision of business that we take within the business is has an implication for HR, and connecting those two kind of helps HR get into the strategic arena. These are more examples. Like for instance, another example could be in terms of like we are trying to market products internationally. So again, we need to hire people accordingly who can manage international markets, who have knowledge of international markets. We need to train people because if we are trying to use the existing people in the international markets, they may not have knowledge of or ability to work with different sets of consumers or different kinds of channel partners. So when they need to be trained and adequately, their compensation also might need to be changed. So these are just examples, and the whole idea is to see that there is a connection between what happens in the business, what the decisions, strategic decisions that we take, and what decisions we take within the purview of human resource management. Finally, to conclude this introduction, we say that if for a corporate excellence, there are 10 P's, which are first P is the purpose, which is the goal or the vision of the company where it wants to be in the future. The perspective, which is the context, and hence determining what is the relative importance of various things in with the context that we are operating. So in certain contexts, certain things might be more important than in other contexts. How we position our company. So positioning the image or the company or the brand or the product that we want to create in the mind of the consumer. The kind of politics is another P, which is not in terms of negative politics, but in the judicious and expedient behavior. Partnerships, choosing internal as well as mostly outside partners wisely. Planning or the plans, creating proper plans and putting those plans to action. The product which needs to be innovative, of a good quality, or maybe more towards cost effective. The uh, 8th P is the principles or the set of values that we have. Uh, and the performance, the both the qualitative and the quantitative output, and the most important P out of these 10 P is the people who need to be challenged, who need to be self-driven, who need to be ethical, who need to be performance oriented, who need to be skilled, who need to be happy, and driven and motivated for us to achieve the organization goals. So in this is the end of the presentation, which kind of was uh, dedicated to helping you helping you to get introduced to the human resource management module, and what how it has evolved as a function, and what is the what how we look at what is the modern outlook of human resource management, what is the role of manager that we envisage under this modern view, and how it is connected to the business strategy or the strategic decisions of the firm. Thank you.